Good morning, Don Pelayo here. Just getting up this morning, getting out. I'm coming over to visit my parents on this nice overcast Sunday morning. We had some heavy storms come through last night. I slept through most of it, so I went to bed around 8 or 8:30, maybe about 8:30 last night. So I slept through most of it. I'll be honest, as many of you know, I had bariatric surgery back in October, and my body's still kind of getting acclimated to all of that. I think it took a while for me to get comfortable eating again, like just eating a normal diet. I'm most of the way there, but I'll have to tell you, it's like I can't eat nearly as much as I used to, and certain things I really enjoyed before surgery, it's hard to even eat them anymore. It's like they don't even taste good to me anymore. It's kind of weird how you can have that surgery done and things that you enjoyed before don't taste good anymore. And I've noticed that my energy levels, my blood work has been amazing. It's like, before I had this surgery, I had just recently been, diagnosed, I think my A1C was like 6.5, and that's just over the line for being diabetic. And my cholesterol been high for 20 years. And, so I had problems with all of that. And I have this surgery done. Now all of my numbers are just like right down the middle of the normal range. Just about all of them are. My LDL is still a little bit high, but it's come way down. My HDL, the good cholesterol's come up. My bad cholesterol's gone down. Triglycerides went down. Everything. It's kind of amazing how it works. But so all my blood work looks great. But I feel really, really tired all the time. Saturday morning, I slept in till like 9. I think last weekend I slept till like noon on Saturday. And I don't know. It was Easter. What was it? Good Friday. We had Good Friday off. I slept till like noon that day. But I don't know. It's like I have felt more tired, physically. Just feeling like I need more rest, and maybe it's recuperating from, I had the surgery more than 6 months ago now, but I think my body's still kind of adjusting to all of it, the change in diet and some of that too. So we'll continue to see how we're going. The doctors feel good about the blood work and everything. They like the way everything is looking, so who knows. For those of you that are new here, I've had a few viewers of my, I think I've got 3 subscribers on my channel now. Thank you guys for subscribing. If for anyone that sees this, please consider subscribing. I'm just trying to get this channel going. I built this channel because I've grown concerned about the state of our society here in the United States. It's more than just the financial aspect of everything. There's a lot of social concerns I have. Our society is really ill right now, in a lot of different ways. Some of these modern things that have happened over the last 20-25 years, I think really since the advent of the internet, haven't, in my view, been beneficial to our society. Also, I work in finance, so I do like to comment on the economy and finance as well. I think, of course, most Americans look around at any of my age. I'm 48 years old, and I can remember a time when we had factories, when we had manufacturing here in the United States, and of course, over the last 50 years or so, we've seen that gradually disappear. Well, it was kind of gradual, and then it sped up real fast when China came into the World Trade Organization, and then when NAFTA was signed, and we just saw exodus of all these factories. And Trump is trying to reverse some of that right now. He's getting a lot of criticism for the tariffs, and tariffs aren't ideal, and I don't think that anyone on the Trump side thinks that they're going to be imposed forever, but he's using them as a tool, trying to reverse some of this damage and trying to get some manufacturing back. I don't think that we'll ever get all of the manufacturing back that we had at one time. There's some of those jobs, for example, things like textiles, some of the high labor intensive, cheaper goods, I don't think will come back to the United States. But I don't see any reason why we couldn't bring back manufacturing of cars to the United States. I don't see why we couldn't bring back manufacturing of, we couldn't have computer chip manufacturing here on a high level. It does take a lot of investment and a lot of time, unfortunately, to begin all of that. I think to build a chip factory, I want to say it's almost a decade to get that going. It's very more complex than you might think. But so that's the big problem that Trump has, is that Americans are not patient. We're anything but patient. Americans, Trump's only been in office 3 months, and people are already complaining that he hasn't done anything. The economy hasn't just made this miraculous turn overnight. It's not going to happen like that. You're basically trying to turn a huge ship, and it takes time to get things, to stop the forward momentum and then to turn and get going back the other way. It's going to take time, and midterms are next year, and if the American people don't see any improvement with the economy by the time midterms come around next November, the Republicans probably aren't going to do very well at the polls. As I've told people before, I consider myself Republican. I'll be honest with you. I've been disappointed with Republicans too a lot. I don't agree with Republicans on everything. There have been things that Trump has done that I've liked. There have been things that he's done that I don't like. The Democrats, for me, especially on the social end of things, are just way out there for me. I could actually probably get on board with some of their economic policies. It wouldn't be a hard pull to get me on their side in terms of some certain things on the left. I do think that there needs to be a better balance of power between corporate interests and labor. For example, I think, at one time we had powerful unions in this country, and they got a little bit too big for their britches, and the power was a little bit too heavy that way. And so I think corporate interests started trying to stomp it out, the unions. Well, now the power is a little too strong on the corporate side, I feel like, on the business side. So I feel like we need to have a little bit better of a balance between labor and business interests right now. And that would be something that leftists would probably more agree with than Republicans. I do feel like for example, another thing I agree with the Democrats on when it comes to economic issues, they need to lift the cap on Social Security. That actually solves about 2/3 of the shortage that Social Security is looking at, is all because of that cap. Some people may not understand this, but Social Security is taxed. People get taxed for Social Security out of their paychecks, but it only goes up to a certain income level. So, and I think that's around $160,000 right now. So, for someone, say, making $500,000 a year, they only pay Social Security tax on the first $160,000. Everything above that, they don't pay Social Security tax on that because of that cap. I think that needs to be lifted, or at least raised substantially. I just think that to me, I would make Social Security tax a flat tax, have it apply to all earned income, And the Republicans, you could probably get them on board, selling it as a flat tax. Although Republicans have never been real, they don't like the whole government, government paychecks, basically, anyway. And it wouldn't. I do think it would be better if people, instead of having Social Security, if maybe we had a system where, we had funds withheld from our paychecks, just like Social Security, but that money went into a private account that people could invest, because the way Social Security works right now, basically, Social Security funds that come out of our paychecks today are paying for the seniors. Now, that money goes directly towards seniors, but you could start with the young people. Start with the younger generation and set up private accounts for them and have them investing that money and generating a much better return on those dollars. And that would actually shore up the Social Security system a little bit, because they'd be getting a higher rate of return. Anyway, I have a lot of thoughts about that, but our country is facing a lot of issues when it comes to our fiscal situation. The whole world really is in a lot of trouble, really. It's like, you look around the world, there's not a lot of countries that are doing well right now financially. Everybody looks at China, but China's actually hurting right now too. They haven't been doing as well lately. They got some massive real estate problems over there. They've got, the tariffs are starting to bite in China a little bit. So it remains to be seen if this tariff strategy is going to work. I'm hopeful. I would like to see more things made here in the United States. I'd love to be able to walk into a store and find products that are made in the USA. You walk into any store these days, and it's very rare that you find anything made here. That needs to I would like to see that get better. Sure, the products are probably going to be more expensive because people get paid more here in the United States. People earn more. Wages are higher, so of course products will be more expensive. But if we have an upward push on the need for labor here, if we have more job openings, then pay should go up too. So we'll drive that up. So anyway, we'll see how things go. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. Some of the podcasts that I like to listen to, I listen to a lot of the Manosphere channels, Hammerhand, Coach Greg Adams. I listen to some of their podcasts. I do like Anton Daniels too. He's more business oriented, talking about. He does talk about some social things too, but he does talk a lot about business and making money. He's a successful entrepreneur. So I've enjoyed their channels. I think they're, for the most part, positive messages, but there is a lot of problems these days between men and women. I've talked about that before. Personally, I've been through 2 divorces. I never thought that I would get divorced when I was younger, and it was never something I thought that I would have to deal with in my own life. But when I was younger, I had this image of what being married would be like. I didn't have a lot of experience with girls growing up. I didn't have any sisters. I never really hung out with girls very much. I was always either, when I was a kid, I was playing, Transformers or He-Man, all that stuff. There were never any girls around. Then I got into baseball when I got into about early teens. Probably about 10 to 12, I started getting into playing baseball. And there's never any girls at the baseball field either. But so I got into playing baseball a lot, and there weren't girls around. I didn't really start dating until I came home from my mission. I served a mission for my church in Spain for a couple of years. And I came home at the age of 21, and I really didn't start dating until that point. And I got married about a year and a half after I got back. And things didn't go any close to the way that I had imagined. I had this maybe a very naive picture in my head of what marriage was going to be like, and it just wasn't anywhere close to that. So I'm not going to go into all that. I look back on my relationships with women. It hasn't been the best. Of course you have to. I'm the common denominator, right? So you kind of have to look at yourself and think, what in the world, It's like, I think for one thing, I didn't know the people well enough that I married. And I think you grow up in the Mormon church. People get married pretty fast in the Mormon church. The girls are all just looking for a return missionary to marry, and and then and so they'll get married, and like they'll know the guy for a week and they'll get married. But it's I don't know. I think I'm the type person that I need to know the person for a very long time. I need to have known them for years, feel very comfortable around them. I think I need to, but at this point, I'm 48 years old. I'm not having any more children. And I'll be honest, I'm pretty comfortable with my life the way it is. When I was going through all this back in my 20s, my late teens, when I was trying to date and everything in my late teens, early 20s, I was pretty, girls might be surprised by that. I was pretty sensitive back then and easily hurt, back when I was in my late teens and early 20s. And I would get my feelings hurt pretty easy back then. Then when I went through my first divorce at 30, I was 30 years old when I went through my first divorce. I was pretty bitter and angry for a while. Probably about 5 years or so where I was pretty bitter and angry, until my second marriage. I got married the second time. I was 35. And that marriage was a disaster. It should never have happened. We were married for 3 years, and that was a long 3 years. But I wasn't angry anymore. I think that at some point it switched to where I just feel kind of not resigned, but just I've just kind of an acceptance that maybe I just wasn't meant to be married. I feel like maybe there's just an acceptance that I was always meant to be by myself. It just seems to be the way it's going, and the way maybe it was meant to be. Maybe this is the way it was always meant to be. So at this point in my life, I feel pretty comfortable with it. There's days, of course, that you get lonely. I've been reading about the male loneliness epidemic, and I have my days where I deal with that. But number one, I stay really busy. I work like almost literally all day long. I get up and I'm usually going into the office. I'm usually there by like 6:30, and after work, I work till 5, and then I go out and I'm door dashing for another 3 hours. So I'll get home 8:30, and it's time to go to bed. And so I don't really have time to feel lonely. About the only extra time I have is on the weekends, and Sundays I come over here and visit my parents, and Saturdays I'm usually door dashing too, not the whole day, but most of the day. The rest of the day I'm doing things around the house, doing laundry or whatever, and I don't really have time to think about it too much. I do fortunately have 2 daughters that I talk to, and it's fine. You know, it doesn't bother me very much at all. There are times when I feel a little bit sad about it. This isn't the life exactly that I had planned, not at all. But I think I've accepted that this is just the way my life was meant to go. So it is what it is. Well, I'm gonna get getting ready to go over to my parents' house at 7:30. I'll probably walk in there about 8 o'clock. I'm not too far from their house, but you guys try to have a good day. I am gonna probably spend a few hours with them, and then I'll probably DoorDash some this evening. I'm trying to save up the money for this trip I'm doing, where I'm going down to Florida in June, and my daughter and I are gonna be spending about a week down there. So yeah, got all that going on. I've got like 20 million different financial goals that I'm working towards. So especially being single and not having, I go home and there's nobody there. It's like I might as well be out working, making money, just building up some money. I like DoorDashing because of the flexibility of the schedule. I could get like a part-time job, but then you've got to kind of fixed schedule and all of that. And that's not really what I want to do. I would prefer being, out, having a schedule where I can work anytime that I want to, and I can plan it out just the way I want to. Anyway, so I make also DoorDashing income's not that bad. There are nights that I'm making like $30 an hour. You do have to subtract your gas expense and the wear and tear on your car, but I use that expense I use to reduce the taxes. You write that off against the income in terms of taxes, and most of the income I make DoorDashing is pretty much tax free because of that, because of the wear and tear on the depreciation on the car, the the mileage that you get for the miles that you're racking up. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go, and you all have a great day and enjoy your day.